what is this all about? Something about GPS. Oh, you can't afford the GPS? Is that what it is? I've looked at this. I'm just going to tell you, Mr. Briscoe, GPS is the least of your problems. I'm looking at this file, and I looked at and I don't want you to say anything. I'm going to do all the talking. So you're accused of using and exhibiting a deadly weapon, namely a handgun, to commit this assault, where apparently beat on the door and pointed the handgun and reached inside the residence, forcefully pulled the victim out. And you have a prior conviction in 2019 of being a felon in possession of a firearm out of Harris County. You know that, and you have a felony before that. So you know that weapons and misuse of weapons have their consequences. And this states, according to the grand jury, you threatened somebody at their home, burst through their home, used a deadly weapon, namely a handgun. Again, you're getting in trouble. No, you have to have a GPS device. If you can't afford it, you go to jail. Okay? You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's all I got to say to you. No, I'm not tolerating misuse of firearms. And that seems to be your track record. You can shake your head all day long. Don't shake your head at me. You understand? That's the court's order. Do you have a GPS now or not?
No,
Then
sir.
sit over there. Thank you. You're not leaving until we know that the community can be safe when you're walking about misusing firearms. Shame on you. Tell Mr. Adams that we're here. There's a hearing, and I'm going to place his client in jail because he doesn't have a GPS device. That's important. He can't be trusted to amble about the community. He's got too many misuse of firearm charges that keep him from being safe to others. Thank you.
Does Mr. Adams need to come down?
Yeah, we got to deal with this. The problem we have here is that he is charged with the use or exhibition of a deadly weapon.
Mhm.
He is previously convicted of felon in possession of a weapon, which means he had a felony before this 2019 conviction occurred.
Mhm.
I don't know what that is, but what I see here is again misuse of a weapon that resulted in a conviction out of Harris County, and then here is misuse of a deadly weapon, namely a handgun, again alleged in this indictment. Now, I've ordered him to have a GPS device because I want to know where he is, and I want to be able to check on him to make sure that he isn't even within breathing distance of a firearm, because he has proven unworthy of being trusted not to use a firearm irresponsibly. You can't even touch one. It's a crime. Touch it, you got it. You got another crime. The GPS device was something that I want to know where he is, and this court believes is hardly too much to ask for the safety of the community when you've been convicted of misuse of a firearm before, and then now again another aggravated assault with the use of a weapon. The states, let's see, approached him, advised The defendant was brandishing a black handgun, pointing at him, stating he would kill him. The victim was in fear of serious bodily injury, entered the residence, and it was shortly after that that the defendant began to beat on the door. Somebody opened the door, and the defendant pointed the handgun at the person and used his hand to reach inside the residence and forcibly pull the person out. So misuse of a firearm is alleged. Yeah, the GPS device is, I want to know where he is because he is proven untrustworthy to have weapons. I just wish there was a device we could have that he could carry around that alarms anytime he gets near a firearm, but we don't have such a device. So I want to know where he is because I'm going to think if there's misuse of a firearm around town, my first instinct is to think Alex must be up to something. So yeah, you've got to have a GPS device and you're going to have to stay at home unless you go to work, go to the doctor, go to get food, the necessities to and from your home in the most direct route possible. That's hardly a lot to ask for when you have a criminal history like this, sir. We're going to keep the community safe as best I can from people who are irresponsible, especially with the misuse of firearms. It's hardly something hard to ask of anybody, but you're going to have to meet the obligation if you want to stay out on a bond. So that's that issue. And until he can get a GPS device, he's going to be in custody. So what are we going to do about it? You can't do it. You can't get one, right?
I really don't. I gotta put my child that'll be 24 hours home, once to 24 hours because he had got hit by a car. So I'm really in the house every day anyway.
That's why it's always, you have obligations on the outside. That's why it's a good deal not to get a criminal charge. And especially when you've got a prior conviction of misuse of a firearm, and here we are, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. You're looking at, in this case, if all of this is true, you're looking at up to life in prison. You understand? It's a second-degree felony enhanced to a first-degree felony because of a prior conviction. So you're looking at no less than 5 nor more than life imprisonment. You see, it's serious. So this court is certainly going to treat it this way. But what do we do? I asked Mr. Adams to come here to talk to you about your options here. And you need to talk to him about anything this was kind of a surprise, but I don't want him to leave without getting some advice from you. You take whatever time you need, talk to him about his options and what can happen if you, number one, fail on your bond conditions, it will be revoked. And number two, if you can't afford a GPS, it's just an obligation you have to have. You put yourself in a position where I want to know where you are at all times. If somebody's seen with a firearm, I want to know where you are to see if it was you or not, because you have a track record of misuse of a firearm. We're going to do all we can to keep this county safe as best we can from irresponsible use of firearms.
Judge, I think that a possible help to this situation is that, to my understanding from talking to him, the initial fee is $300 and they have $200 every month on the GPS. If the court would be willing to waive the fees for the GPS, then he can keep the GPS on him. And he's saying that he can't afford that initial $300 payment, and then he can't afford the $200 payment each month.
Well, here's the problem. I've just said it, and I'm funny about it. I opened the door for one. I opened the door for everybody. Everybody's going to be indigent, and then who's going to pay for all the GPS device? The GPS has to have The taxpayers aren't going to pay. It's the obligation of the defendant. But that's what I do. Just like what happened earlier, that door just got open and we're going to be doing, I'll treat people that way from here on. And I'm going to treat him and others the same way. But I'm not, it's a bar you have to jump over. That's why I advise don't commit crimes of violence or threaten violence with firearms. And then we wouldn't have to deal with this. Sorry. And you've got your prior conviction. What was his prior felony that resulted in this Harris County conviction that caused this felon in possession?
That was,
What was your first felony conviction?
possession of control system.
Oh, possession of control. Where? What county?
It was discount.
Jefferson? Okay. Is that what they used in the indictment here in Harris County as your prior
That's what-
conviction, the
that's it.
illegal possession of a controlled substance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to say anything? No?
I'm also reviewing jail incident reports that I have received. Have you had an opportunity to review those? Yeah. Why don't you take a look at those, and then before you try to make arguments on behalf of your client who's making things very difficult for you, y'all can go review those, and then we'll come back and discuss
Judge, I
the
think if you
bond.
just let me review his criminal history, the decision will be very easy.
I've already know what I'm gonna do, but I'd be glad for you to do that as well. Go ahead.
He's habitual on this continuing violence against the family case. He has a total of, I believe, 10 prior felonies. And on these 2 evadings, the state jail and evadings with prior evading convictions, he has a total of 7 evadings. And the most recent one was picked up when he was arrested in August while he had warrants for these pending cases. His priors that are not evadings include firearms, drugs, and burglary.
Okay. Ms. Holmes?
He had only been off of parole about 2 months before the new offense date in April.
What is that? Let me look at something else that's new. I want to see what the bond is set at on the new case, 25 DCCR 1233. Because honestly, based on everything I'm seeing, I'm not sure the bonds are satisfactory. We'll see. So Ms. Holmes, any
So, Your Honor, I was provided some documentation. Apparently, Mr. Hancock did go to the hospital in July, which I believe at the time he did provide that documentation to the bondsman. I'm not sure if he was aware that an AFRS had been filed at that point. He is aware that he needs to behave in the jail.
really, you're aware of that? How old are you?
36.
You're 36 years old, so you needed to come here today and have her tell you you need to behave in jail? This is ridiculous. These people are just going to work and trying to do their job. That's all. You know, I mean, that's what the rest of us do. We go to work, we do our job, we go home, we live our lives, and we don't have punks like you acting like this and treating us this way when we're at our job. The way you have spoken to the officers, the female, they disrespect you first. Do you think you earned their respect? You're in jail. You follow the rules. Their job's just to do their job. If it's time, you don't get to make decisions in jail. You don't get to decide when you turn the lights on and off. You don't get to decide when you go to bed or when you eat. It's not your decision anymore. That's what happens when you continue to violate the law. You've lost your right to make those decisions. So it's their decision to try to keep everybody in order out in the jail the best they can. And the way you have spoken to them and threatened them is actually a violation of the law, and you could end up with more cases for threatening a correctional officer. So just keep going, keep stacking it up. I'm sure a jury later will love to hear all of that. They'll love to hear it. You're looking at 25 to life on one of your cases. Keep it up. Let's see what happens. Because a jury will see all of this. And if you think I'm going to take some great deal that they're going to negotiate, or you think Mr. Nichols is going to give you some great deal, it's not happening. So you're old enough to know better. I'm going to deny the motions for a bond reduction in cause numbers 25 DCCR 0737 and 0738 based on several factors: your criminal history, the fact that you did miss court, the fact that your bondsman had already filed an AFRS, your jail incident reports. I am also going to find in cause number 25 DCCR 1233 that your bond is insufficient. And in that case, I'm going to raise your bond to $100,000. A condition of all of these bonds, if you make them, will be that you will be required to wear a GPS monitoring device, and you will be on house arrest. So if you make these 3 bonds, you will be on house arrest. You're not allowed to leave your house unless you have my permission. And you will be also ordered, and it should already be in a bond condition in cause number 25 DCCR 0738 to have absolutely no contact, no communication at all with the complaining witness. Do you have that name handy?
I do, Your Honor.
Janaisha Butler.
Janaisha Butler?
Jamaisha.
Jamasha.
So you cannot have any contact whatsoever with that person. Do you understand? That also includes when you're in jail. So there's no sending messages through that email system or anything like that to her through anybody else. That'll be a violation of your bond, and your bonds will end up raised even more. You understand? All right, I'll reset it for for an announcement. We'll deal with all of the cases at that time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.